And we are live. We are live. Hey, Andy.
Hey, how we
Hey,
doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I just walked out of an awesome baseball game and
Yeah, it looks hot though.
it was hot. And I brought home a winner, so I'm happy about that.
Yay, good for you.
Yeah. Struck out. Tiger! Yeah. Struck out Shohei Otani, struck out Mike Trout at the end. It was good.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So, speaking of
So
athletics and professionalism, I'm excited to have you here. Let me introduce you to the crowd. This is probably going to be the most well attended podcast I've done yet. You're a big name. The Raiders is a huge name.
yeah,
And I've never hated the Raiders. I like the team. So I'm really excited to have you. And I have to be honest, I was a little intimidated by you when I first found out you were an NFL Raider. So Andy and I actually know each other through real estate. My side hustle is I am a realtor, a healthy realtor. And Andy is one of the leaders in my brokerage, AARE. And so he's been a great mentor for me and coached me in real estate. And I also found out he was a Raider, so we have a lot in common. We like to talk about football. Sometimes when
yeah,
we're not talking about real estate.
yeah.
Uh,
That was yeah. I've lived a lot of lives, and football was one of them. And was very thankful to be able to play and play for the Raiders, no less. My father, growing up, was a Raider fan, so I got a big dose full of the Raiders, and obviously after they won the Super Bowl and being drafted, it was quite an honor. So, I was happy to be a part of that group and participate in that legacy that is the Raiders.
Absolutely. That I would love to know. Like, where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Utah. I'm from San Diego, but I ended up going to Utah and was drafted out of there. So,
Okay. Okay. And then, what round were you drafted?
so I was the Raiders' third pick in the fifth round, right after they won the Super Bowl,
Okay.
and so they didn't have a huge, class of new athletes coming in that were drafted. Um, when you win the Super Bowl, you you know, low on the totem pole there. But anyway, I was, they ended up, I think they traded up with the Colts in order to get their pick, and so I ended up, I think I was 126 or something overall um, that year, and you know, fortunately, when I went to the combines, I came out ranked pretty high, like
Mm-hmm.
one or well, not one, but in the high, maybe two uh, amongst the tight ends coming out that year. And I could run, and I was pretty strong. I was strength and conditioning All American, and had a decent senior season where they could see that I could catch the ball. So, um, you know, uh, size and speed, makes a big difference, and that's what you got to have when you play. So, the big question mark was, they knew I could block, but they didn't know if I could catch. And so, because I had a decent senior season, they could see that I could catch the ball, and um, you know, God took care of the rest. So,
Nice, nice.
yeah.
So, what was that feeling like when you got drafted? They didn't do it like they do now, did they? Like the big, party in Vegas. Like, what was the draft like?
Well, I was drafted in the later rounds, so I didn't get a lot of the accolades.
Mhm.
My draft experience was, uh, like my position coach at the time, uh, or actually my would be position coach called me up and he goes, "Hey, did anybody tell you that we drafted you?" I said, "No." "Well, we did. Talk to this guy." So I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." That was a just out of left field. I had no idea the Raiders were even looking at me.
Huh.
Yeah, I thought I was going to
So,
go to Dallas in the third round, and
so
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, interesting. You've been a cowboy.
I
But,
almost was. Yeah, yeah.
but are you
Actually, I
happy
was
for
almost a
later?
Colt because they had that pick and they were going to choose. They're going to. I think they were going to choose me, but
Uh-huh.
I talked to somebody from the Colts, and then all of a sudden the Raiders got on the line, and I was a Raider.
Well, it's a bad team to be part of. I mean, like
Yeah,
bad meaning good. Like
yeah,
us.
right, right. Well,
Yeah.
matter of fact, it's funny because of my faith. Yeah, I'm a faith-based guy, Christian, and uh, what I remember one of the articles they wrote about me was labeled the unlikely Raider because of my faith, and I thought that was interesting, and if, a couple of my friends that I played with have written books since they played, and I was thinking maybe if I wrote a book, that's what I'd call it, the unlikely Raider. So
That, I think you should.
yeah, maybe
I think you
it was
should.
it's been quite the journey, I have to say. Yeah, because I started, so back a little bit of history about how I got started. I was very tall and very skinny
Hmm.
person, right? I was an ectomorph, if you want to get into body types. That's a skinny type person
Hmm.
by nature, or by genetics, and I wasn't very strong, right? So I was, this people that will know this isn't that much, but I was like 195 pounds. My bench was 240, which is not that much, but I could run. That was my saving grace. I could run, you know. But I'm here trying to play tight end, and I can't compete. And I'm getting thrown around like a rag doll. And so uh, there was a point in time when I was considering taking steroids.
Oh my.
Yeah, and that was a big decision. And I said, I'm just getting my tail just kicked left and right out here, right? And so I said a quick prayer. I said, Lord, I said, make me strong.
Hmm.
That's all I said. It was just a quick prayer, and within about 3 weeks, my bench max went to from 240 to 315.
What?
Uh, my 40 time went down from 4.72 to 4.53, and my vert went up to like my standing. I had a standing broad jump of like 126 inches, and I think my standing vertical was like, I want to say 34 inches or something. I mean, it was just crazy what took place. Of course, I dedicated myself to training and working out and getting stronger. And I went from 195 to 240, 243 by the time my senior year happened, and all natural too. So I didn't use the steroids. God answered my prayer, and I became strength conditioning All-American, and went to the combines, got ranked second in the country coming out, and got drafted by the Raiders. So I was like, wow, that was a cool thing.
I would say. So, what was the duration of time from the moment you prayed? Said steroids, no, which I know is very tempting as a bodybuilder. I was tempted at one point too, but I didn't. Um, uh, what time was in the duration from when you said no to steroids, prayed, and then you you reached
It
that
was it
level?
was a matter of weeks. I mean,
Wow.
it was a weird thing. So I get technique and bench press, right? My elbows were out, and I was trying to push, but for some reason, what I decided to do is change the angle of my elbows, and everything you do in football is in here. It's not out here. So I decided to come in here with my elbows, and so my backs went, and all of a sudden, I don't know. I was extremely strong in there, and my max went from 240 to 315 like within just a week or two. I mean, it was just crazy. And then I was able to load up myself a little bit higher and compete that way. And then it was just dedicating myself to eating and working out. And so when we talk about nutrition,
Hmm.
I had a nickname. My
Well,
nickname was Mount Andy. And so
Mount.
the reason why it was Mount Andy, yeah, the Andes Mountains. Do you get it? So it's kind of a
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So they called me Mount Andy because I always had a mountain of food on my plate. And so I ate a lot of food in those days. Like I used to open the place up and close the place down, and I'd be eating through groups of friends coming through. And so I ate a lot, worked out a lot. I was probably burning 10,000 calories a day. I mean, I used to get up at like 5 in the morning, go through the snow, do the shake thing, do my little morning workout,
Mhm.
power cleans, just really heavy lifting.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and Yeah, it was crazy. I was actually Iron Ute 2 years in a row. Iron Ute means that it's kind of a conditioning test, all around best conditioned athlete kind of deal. So to me, it's like an award that doesn't mean anything, but to me, it kind of does because it was a lot of hard work, and I was able to compete at a level that very few people can. And if you think about a standing broad jump of 126 inches, that's pretty good. You know, so I was able to leverage what God gave
Okay.
me. I entered school as an architect, finished school as a exercise science major. So I decided to change my major to something that I could learn my body about. Right. So I learned how the body worked, and so the food that I ate was just food that fueled my body. I didn't eat a lot of sugar. I didn't eat a lot of dairy. I just ate just lots of food,
Mhm.
real food.
Mhm.
Maybe not ideal food for what you're doing, but I needed the calories, and I ate them. But it
Yeah.
wasn't junk. It was real food.
Right, right. Like wholesome food.
Yeah,
Yeah, not junk. And I mean, food is fuel, you can't drive a
that's right.
car on empty.
That's right.
So, and you were
Hundred
spending a
percent.
lot of energy back and
100%. Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, I was burning it big time, and
yeah.
gaining weight was hard. I'm 195 pounds, and I would gain, 15 pounds a year and lose 10, lose 5, during the season, and come back again and gain. So it was little increments. It wasn't a huge. I mean, it was incredible amount of hard work. Um, but God gave me the motivation and the desire and the energy to do it. I don't know too many people that would do what I did. To be honest,
Yeah.
it
No,
was it was a
no.
lot of dedication.
Yeah, to get to that level. I mean, I was just talking at the baseball game, to get to that level, how many great athletes do we know from our school? And how many get to the pros? I mean, it's a very elite. So
Yeah,
take us
so low probability for sure.
for sure. So take us through, like, mentally, people that are listening, that may want to be to your caliber someday, or people that want to be to your caliber in their own profession. Tell me mentally, what do you think made you a winner?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, uh, I have to think about that for a second. What made me a winner? I don't know if hard work makes you a winner. Dedication, consistency, persistence. All these things I think are good traits to have if you want to be successful in
Mhm.
life and in business.
Mhm.
Um, you have to kind of position yourself to for success. Um, but a lot of what I have was God given, and so it's not like I can genetically make me a certain height, or I'm
Right.
6'5", I'm 6'5", and I could run, um, and that's I mean that's just it's like you're handed what you're given in life, right? God kind of makes you the way you are, and if you want to enhance that, you can, you know, um, and I you know I don't know, maybe it's dedication, maybe it's something else, but um, or maybe it's all the above, but
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's like we're all given gifts. And then it's what we do with them and the dedication that we do. I mean, you could have been given this, but then not used it.
squandering it. Right. Yeah. So, I could have been a big partier. I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done a lot of things like taken a day off or not worked as hard. I
Mm-hmm.
skated along and just kind of got by because that was the easy thing to do.
Right.
But the way I do real estate and anything else is I don't take the easy way out. I do the right thing, right? So if you do the right thing, I think that you are rewarded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Real estate takes a heck of a lot of discipline
I mean,
too.
in real estate, I mean, and again, there's a lot of decisions, and ethics and integrity has a lot to do with it. Doing right by people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, has a lot to do with it. I remember when I was in college, uh, there was a lot of, college was hard. I mean, it was physically and mentally tough. It was tough because they played mental games with you. It was just, it is what it is. And so um, I remember a lot of players quitting. They just didn't like it. They didn't like the coach, didn't like the situation. It was too hard for them. They quit. And I remember the coach said, my senior season, he said at the beginning of the season, he goes, if you commit to me, I will commit to you. And I thought, okay, that's good, and so I kept my mouth shut. I worked hard, and I think he honored his word because, although I was, decent tight end, I didn't get many accolades. I didn't get, I wasn't, all that in a bag of chips. I was kind of that guy, right? And I think he kicked the doors open for me to get into the combines, and and I think because of that, and because I I committed to him, I think he went the extra mile for me to get me into those combines, and fortunately, I was prepared and did well, and God blessed it. And then after that, it was just like a locomotive. I couldn't get off. It was a wild ride for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you've got your natural talent, but then when you are giving it your all, I mean, it's just
Well, I mean, it's the
you're
classic definition of lucky, right? When hard work and preparation, right, meets
mhm.
opportunity.
Mhm.
Is that luck or is it hard work and preparation meeting an opportunity?
Mhm.
You know, had I not worked as hard as I did, had I not taken the time to train and prepare myself the way that I did, uh, I don't know. That it may not have happened.
Mhm.
You know,
It's kind of like what you taught me when we were doing like our strengths and our weaknesses, and to use those in in our profession, take advantage of our strengths and work hard with those, and maybe outsource things you're not so good at.
right?
Hmm.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and
Hmm.
uh,
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Now let's talk spiritual. How much of a role did your spirituality play in you making it to the big league?
Well, I think it was a lot. I learned. I was plugged into Campus Crusade for Christ in college. I don't know if anybody out there has ever
Yep. I
done
do.
that or know who they are, but they have a discipleship program, and um, I went through that, and I learned a lot from that. Grew a lot because when I first got to college. I was a new Christian. I became a Christian when I was a junior in high school,
Hmm.
and all I knew to do was to read the Bible in the morning. I mean, that's about all I knew to do, and they call it a quiet time. So before anybody, my roommate kind of thought I was weird, but
I'm sure you.
and but when I got to college, you got to think I'm 17 years old and I'm playing with men, right? That are like 50
Yeah.
pounds heavier than I am, and I have to go and hit these guys and compete. And so, yeah, I was a little freaked out. You know, I was a lot freaked out. Uh, and so every morning I'd get up and I get in that Bible and I'd be praying to God. I said, "Help me." today. Protect me, give me strength. And I was just, yeah, it was crazy. You know, um,
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, you see these like NBA players go from college to the NBA,
well, I was a
and
kid. I mean, I'm 17 years old playing in front of 103,000 people in Tennessee, and you can't even hear yourself scream. I mean, it's just crazy. And Yeah, no, it was quite the experience for sure, and thankful to be able to have that experience. But yet there was a lot of work to be done from my, obviously from my freshman year, because I was just a kid, just trying to
hmm
figure it out.
hmm
But as far as the spirituality goes, I was a very young Christian. I was in a very different environment, being in Utah, and so I like I said, I was very diligent about getting to know what was in the Bible and what the Bible had to say about me, and I discovered the how to kind of operate and live your life through the power of the Holy Spirit.
hmm
And when I learned those principles, that was a life changing thing, you know, um, because there's power in that. So when you understand how you can harness God's promises and what He says, um, and see God work on a daily basis as a result of that, and see the fruits of the Spirit manifest in your life on a natural basis, and just how people respond to you just when you show up in a room. It was mind. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Every day I saw God work every day. Uh, and it's just a great way to live your life. So
Yeah, kind of
sorry
like.
for being so weird on that, but that was my experience.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. It's not too far off from what your coach said too. If you commit yourself to me, I'll commit to you. And God's always there for you, but you really are seeing Him shine His light on you when you're like in the right path.
Well, another thing, when it was so hard, God taught me something, or he gave me a perspective. And that was when my hands were all swollen, I had scabs on every knuckle, when I was exhausted, I was being mentally abused to a certain extent. Coaches like to mentally abuse you.
hmm
I was miserable, right? But then I was reminded about, you know, what Christ did for me, dying on the cross, and what torment that He went through, and what the apostles went through for the sake of Him. And I'm thinking, man, this is peanuts compared to that. And if they can do that, then this is just a little bit of way that I can say I'm grateful and thankful for what they did for me, for what God did for me, for what Christ did for me. And so that became kind of almost like that sacrifice, that laying out of my body, almost became a form of worship, where where I it was kind of a way of saying thank you, you
mm
know. And so that literally, I mean, I looking back, I mean, that kind of got me through a lot of really, really, really tough times where everyone was quitting. The sentiment was terrible. It was mentally mentally, physically, really, really hard.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that now. Way to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, right. So, like when you go through a hard time, think about what God has done for you. And it's just kind of a nice way of saying, well, this is, I'm going to do this. I'm going to endure this. If I can, I'm going to endure it, and just think in terms of just being grateful, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I have very low expectations from anybody. I really just try to live my life the way God wants me to, and whatever happens, happens. But if I'm doing the right thing by people, then that's all I can do.
Awesome. That's great. Great. Let's switch to your physical here. I know that you majored in exercise science and you had a gym. You owned a gym for a while
I did.
in San Diego.
Yeah, in the city of Poway.
Okay. So I want to hear about what was your workout like when you were training for. Let's talk about the on season and the off season because I know that can differ.
Well, in football, you just maintain during the
Okay.
season. There's really nothing. There's no building going on. There's no
Okay.
maxing or anything. It's just a maintenance program.
Hmm.
It's the off season that you really hit it hard, and college programs have it pretty dialed in. Back in those days, it was a lot kind of the bigger, stronger, faster kind of things. Now it's more sophisticated, more plyometrics, more fast twitch development, um, and I don't want to say complicated, but it's more sophisticated for sure. Uh, you know,
Okay.
like like you know, I did a lot of sports performance training when I was, after football, and I did a lot of personal training too. But the sports performance training I preferred because it was geared around a specific result.
Hmm.
Increasing the person's size and speed,
Hmm.
their quickness. There is a thing called strength, but there's also power. And you want to have a you want to be strong, but you want a really good power ratio. So if you understand the difference, then you would get the idea that in football, it's not how much you can bench that makes you a good football player, right? It's how much power you have and how much power you can generate when you're on the football field to help you play football at a higher level.
Hmm.
A lot of people. I remember this one guy. He came in. He was this linebacker, coming in. He's a free agent, and he was strong, right? He wasn't that big, but he was strong, man. He could bench over 500 pounds, and he couldn't wait to get to the weight room to show off how strong he was, right? And that's all good. I mean, that's fine. You can be
Yeah.
strong, but on the football field, I buried him every time. I picked him up and I buried him. And I'm like, well, where's your 500-pound bench press now? So it's not. I mean, how strong you are doesn't make you a good football player, right? Your bench press does not make you a good football player, right? You lift weights, you train, you do all those things to enhance your ability to play football and prevent injuries and compete, but it doesn't make you a good football player. And I think a lot of people make that mistake in the sense that, well, I bench this and I squat this and I do all this stuff, and it's like, so what? Can you play
Yeah.
football?
Right.
You know,
So where do you get that power from then, Andy? Like how, if it's not from weightlifting and stuff, where do you get it? Is it
well,
just
no, I mean the power is general. Like for instance, power cleans, right? Is a pretty good power move. It's an explosive move, but there are plyometrics that you can implement now. There are isokinetic moves that fire the muscle fibers as quickly as you can through a specific range of motion. That's kind of set, but you apply the force to that range of motion, which fires those muscle fibers significantly better than a bench press. And a lot of times the big part about sports performance is training at the speed of sport, right? Uh, you never move this slow, right? In
right?
football, doing a bench press, that doesn't happen, right? So it's a lot of explosive movements done with power, or have power attached to it. So isokinetics is a big deal when it comes to sports performance training, um, and just stuff like that.
I love that too. And I think that is one um, idea people can learn from this is train for what you do, whatever that might be. What's your goal? Like, do you want to be good at playing soccer, on your, town league? Or do you want to look good? Like I know that from bodybuilding because our training was just to
Well,
look
not
good. It
so when
wasn't,
it comes to training, knowledge is power, right? And so knowing how the body works helps. So my background and understanding how the body works and how energy is created and all that really helps. It really helped me anyway. But nutrition is obviously 90% of results. I mean, you've got to put what you put in your mouth is a big deal, and then how you stimulate your muscles and your heart and lungs is the rest. And it just depends on what you're doing. If it's just for looks, it's just for looks, fine. If it's for performance, then that's kind of a different animal. It just kind of depends. But anyway,
Well, let's talk about nutrition then. So
okay.
let's talk about what you ate back then. What were you putting in your body? I know whole foods. Give me a typical day.
Well, so I was big into balance,
Hmm.
right? Uh, I wanted to have a good balance between proteins, carbs, and fats. Understanding that proteins and carbs have the same amount of calories per gram, and fats have over twice as many. So you got to think, okay, well, that's one thing. So, but then you say to yourself, well, what's a balanced diet? The 40-30-30 plan that was out there was pretty popular as far as balance goes. 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein.
Hmm.
And so, but then you have to say, what type of carbs am I eating? And so you always want to eat carbohydrates that are low on the glycemic index, meaning they don't raise your blood sugar level as high as, let's say, a candy bar would, right? And so you want to maintain a nice, steady, even blood sugar level, and you need carbs for fuel.
Yep.
But also you got to, and also the proteins and fats balance out those carbs too, so that doesn't spike your insulin level. And that's kind of what I prescribe to.
Very good. It's exactly what I would say.
Oh well, yeah, yeah,
You're hired.
yeah.
Um,
But
and
yeah, I for 20 plus years I was a personal trainer, helped people nutritionally, you know, lose weight, performance, whatever. This is what I did, and I enjoyed that. I love helping people. So I'm in
yep,
real estate, that's why I kind of train people now because I like to help them if I can.
me too.
Um, and yeah, that's what I do.
Yep, I love helping people too, and that's why, as I told you, I'm now taking insurance because I want to help more people.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
health
go.
insurance. And I got the best news yesterday to start the fall off that Blue Cross
Yeah.
Blue Shield is now one of my insurances that I take. I
Oh,
start
wow.
October 16th, and that's the biggie, Blue Cross Blue
Wow.
Shield Anthem. So, yeah,
That's awesome.
good. So, everyone can go to Nutrition for Men, Nutrition for Ladies.com, the number four, Nutrition for, and inquire. And it tells you right there how to see if your insurance will cover 100% most often for most Americans. Um, let's also end this. I wanted to let you know. So well, you just went to Vegas to
I
see
did.
to tell us about that. Your little
Yeah,
trip.
no, it was great. Yeah, I was telling you earlier that we went to a premiere about the Raiders,
Mhm.
how they got started. It's a documentary of sorts, but it talked about like the first episode or the first, uh, I guess, movie talked about the first 3 years that the Raiders were in existence. And so it talked about Lamar Hunt and how what part he played, and who were the first head coaches, and what was it like, and we got to see some vintage footage, film on who was playing and who were the first quarterbacks to play, and some of the players that played on those first games and their interviews. Excuse me. And it turns out that uh, at the very first, right, we were talking about this, that the Raiders were called when they first were formed. The Raiders' name were the Seniors. I heard that. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, that's a true story. They were called the Seniors. And so had they not have changed their name, I would be saying that I am a fighting senior.
I love that
Committed
tidbit.
to excellence. I don't know if a senior can be committed to excellence, but I would.
Um, one of our viewers said they did see that on Disney. If anyone else knew that, please say because I did not know that. Um, So thank you. That's we'll use that in some trivia someday.
Yeah.
Um, so do you plan on hitting any other games this year?
They're pretty cool about inviting me over, uh, and just kind of meeting the fans and just hanging out.
Yeah.
Mark Davis does a great job with the alumni. They're really the only organization that I know of, and I believe this is a true fact when I'm going to tell you that um, they allocate 4 full-time employees just to their alumni.
Huh.
And so the saying that once a Raider, always a Raider is very true. And that, you are, once you're a Raider, you're grafted into the family, and they treat you, really well.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
Mark Davis is very committed to the alumni, and you know, that's refreshing to see, actually.
It is. It's a great organization, honestly. I like I said, I do not hate the Raiders. I know it's a team that some people love to hate, but I do not. I am not a hater. They got maybe the best uniform in the whole NFL.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the Raider personification, when they came up with the name, was in Oakland. It was a blue collar, hardworking class of people, and they felt that the name Raider best represented that that group. And I don't disagree with them. Hardworking, ethical, tough, uh, people. And man, I mean, the Raiders are it's an amazing organization, actually.
well, maybe that's why I don't know if you know this, but the Detroit Pistons in '89, we were the bad boys, and we're like the bad boys, like the Raiders, and so that's kind of why I don't mind the Raiders
Yeah,
also.
well, whatever works.
And
You
that's
know,
a hardworking community too, blue collar.
yeah,
So
for sure. Well,
now,
sports is great. It's a great outlet. It's a great thing for people to identify with. I think it's something that you can have fun with without getting, hopefully, without getting political, or without. I mean, it's something that everybody has kind of. It's fun, right? You want to have fun. You want to identify with your team. If your team loses, you're sad. If your team wins, you're happy. Um, it's kind of a great thing. Sports is great. The thing you don't want is you don't want people to take it to the ninth level, because it's just not worth it. It's supposed to be fun.
yes, absolutely. I agree with you. It's like we can have good fun. I've sitting there with the Angel fans, and they were giving Javier Baez a hard time when he was at the bat, but it's just all good fun, and they
That's right.
love it.
That's right.
So, speaking of, we are planning on a group. We have a great group of Raider fans and Charger fans actually getting together for the game December. Let's see here, 4th, I believe. Um, Sunday, and the Raiders are hosting the Chargers, so we got a big group going.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
yeah, so you are welcome to join us if you'd
Oh,
like to take this as your special invitation.
well, thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, we're staying at the Luxor. We've got a group of rooms reserved at a pretty good price. It's a very popular weekend because it's the rodeo weekend also, along with the
Oh,
Raiders game, and it's a huge game
okay.
being against the Chargers. So we've got prices locked in until tonight at pretty good rates.
Okay.
So I believe if you go to Nutrition for Men, we've got a Raiders link. I'm going to have it posted right here on our chat. Um, is nutritionformen.com/Las Vegas/Luxor. And it's really close to the stadium. So, yeah, we'd love to have people join us. It's going to be a fun, healthy, good time. And yeah, so you're welcome to join us,
Well, thank
or
you.
anybody. Yeah, just let us know by tonight, latest tomorrow, but no later. Because those rooms are going quick. It's such
Yeah.
a popular weekend. But any last parting words you'd like to share?
Well, let me think. I don't know where you got that picture of me, but it looks like I just got, my bell rung. Uh, you know, my hair, my hair's not gray. I mean, I'm thinking that picture's got to be. I don't. I'm afraid to say how old that picture is, but
I'm sorry.
that was an eye opener for me. Thank you for that.
I guess they should have asked you permission first, huh?
No, that's okay. It's all right.
Well, I think you're like a fine wine. You're getting better with age.
Oh well, yes, thank you. Good. I'll go with that.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
build
true.
on that.
Well, I didn't know you back then, but I do see you, and I do think you better with age. You still keep yourself healthy and fit. My suggestion to you and all other people that were athletes is, you got to keep limber, and that can be a challenge for all of us. We tend to want to go in the gym, burn the fat, make the muscle, but we don't take the time to stretch. And the
Yeah.
more you extend a muscle, the more range of movement you are getting.
Yeah.
More
For
range
sure.
of movement, the more muscle fibers you're going to be able to engage. You're ultimately getting stronger. So it does incorporate into your strength and the amount of muscle
Yeah.
definition. The best I learned this was when I took up dance in the ripe age of 20, and just dancing, ballet, all that was a lot of stretching. My words of advice for all people is, do your workouts, 5 days a week, whatever, but I'd say take one day a week to do a yoga class. Restorative yoga is great. It's my favorite. I'll fall asleep in it sometimes. Just take one day to do like some kind of stretching, restorative class. Your body will thank you. And just even one day will make a difference. It'd be great if you could do it more, but I know we're all, so busy. But that would be my suggestion to do one day a week. Take a break from the hardcore
Agreed.
stuff. Hmm.
Roger that.
Yep. Um, Thank you so very much. I owe you. This was wonderful having you on your, like,
Well, thanks for inviting me. It was an honor being here. I appreciate that. It's
well,
always an honor to chat with you, and
thank you.
it's an honor to know you. So,
Thank you.
um,
Well, it's an honor to know you as well.
yeah, well, it's all good.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to catching up soon, and I'll let you know if any other fans have any questions for you, and I hope to have you again sometime.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dorothy.
You're welcome. Goodbye. Have a good night.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.